Hi, this is Ali Arango, and today I would like to show you how to rig a simple female mesh inside of Blender 2.76. So let's get started. Okay, if this is your first time in Blender, I recommend you go to File, User Preferences, go to Input, and then choose Select with left click. Blender's default select is with right click, and this may confuse you if you're coming from Adobe or other 3D programs. Also, while you're in here, click on Add-ons. You want to scroll down. And what you want to do is make sure that you have a check mark next to where it says rigging, rigify. Just make sure you have a check mark right here. Okay, what you see here is a simple female mesh that I made in another tutorial. I'll put a link up so you can get to that tutorial. I'll also put a link up so you can download this mesh so you can have this mesh to work along with as you work your way through this tutorial. Okay, also I just wanted to say, you guys who like the videos on this channel and who we share them, thank you very much. Definitely helps when it comes time to make another tutorial. Tutorials often take decent amount of time to put together, and I just want to say, thank you. If you like the videos on this channel, please subscribe. Also, if you would like to make a donation to this channel, donations just make it easier to make videos for the channel. If you look to your upper right hand corner, you can click on that button, and if you want to make a donation, that'd be very cool. Okay, if this is your first time in Blender, the way that you can manipulate your view is if you hold your middle mouse button, you can rotate the view. You can also use this navigation button, which is extremely useful. Actually, to make sure that you have this navigational tab, you want to click File, User Preferences, go to Add-ons, and it's just the first add-on that you see right here, 3D View, 3D Navigation. Just make sure you have a check mark right there. And you can just click these buttons here. You can easily manipulate your view, as you work through this tutorial or other work that you might be doing in Blender. Okay, when you first come into Blender, by default, you're in object mode. The way you can get to your different modes is by clicking here, and you can see a list of the different modes available to you as you work in Blender. Typically, when you're dealing with rigging, you'll work with weight paint mode. You'll also work with edit mode as well as object mode. It's also very important as you deal with rigging, particularly in Blender, that you remember which mode that you're currently in. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is rescale this mesh right here. So I'm just going to, with this mesh selected, I'm going to press S to scale this down. A lot of times, if you wonder, if you've seen other tutorials on this channel and you wonder why I leave this grid here, which sometimes it can be distracting, I tend to leave it here because it gives you just a view of kind of, I guess, how the scale of things should be. So when I see this grid, I knew that this was extremely big because it was so much bigger than the grid. Anyway, with this scaled down, we're going to press Shift, then B, then draw a zoom box to zoom in. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to hold Shift in the middle mouse button to pan the view. With this mesh selected, I'm just going to pull up like this. Pretty much have her standing, on the grid right there. Maybe I'll pull her up a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to press Shift B again and draw another zoom box just to zoom in more. Okay, so here you are in a rigging tutorial. If by some chance you're here and you don't know what rigging is, rigging in its simplest form is the process of creating a skeleton for a 3D model so that it can move. Another way I like to think of rigging is I've collected action figures and miniatures, stuff like that for years. Without rigging, when you model a 3D model, it reminds me of kind of like a collectible statue. You have it, it looks cool, but it pretty much sits there. If it's, depending on the plastic it's made in, you might be able to grab it, move it a little bit, but it's difficult to move it. Where an action figure like G.I. Joe figure or something, you can grab the arms, move it, bend the legs. It's set up. It's got all kinds of joints to make it easily movable, and that's kind of what rigging is like as well. Okay, so in Blender, where you see this at, this is the 3D cursor in Blender. Where you see this at is where objects tend to come into Blender at. I'm actually going to click here to go to front mode or front view. You can see which view you're in by looking right here. We're in front orthographic view, which is what we want to be in. Orthographic view is kind of like a blueprint view. If I click here, I'll go into perspective view. So we're still facing front, but we're not, exactly straight on. So you can just click this again and you'll go, right to front orthographic view. Okay, so the 3D cursor's here. So what we're going to do is we're going to press Shift A. This brings up our Add To menu. We're then going to go to where you see it says Armature here. We're then going to go to here. And you see where this says Human MetaRig. We're going to select this. Okay, so this is our MetaRig right here, or our armature. Now that this is in here, one of the things we want to do is click here on our Puppeteer button. And then what we want to do is we want to put a check mark next to X-ray. And what this means is that as we scale this armature up to put it inside of this mesh, we'll still be able to see the armature even though it's technically inside of the mesh. So that's the purpose of why we put that check mark next to X-ray. Okay, another thing I want you to take note of is I'm going to select this mesh right here. We scaled this mesh down, right? Excuse me. I'm going to press N to go to our properties panel. I'm going to scroll up. Long story short, with the scale here, we want this to be 1, 1, 1. Because we scaled this down in Blender, it doesn't have that. So what we're going to do is we're going to press and hold Control, then press A. This pops up our apply menu, and basically what we want to do is apply the location. If you look all the way up, that first X, Y, and Z, that's our location. That should be 0. So watch what happens when I click location. That zeroes out. Now I'm going to press and hold Control, then press A again. Now I'm going to choose rotation and scale. And now this says 1, 1, 1. That's what you want. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to select the MetaRig. I'm going to try to keep reminding you guys which mode we're in, simply because when I first started to learn rigging, one of the things that I found that made it difficult for me was I kept forgetting which mode that I was in. So currently we're still in object mode. With this MetaRig selected, because we're in object mode, when we scale this, we'll scale right from this 3D cursor, which is nice because it makes it easier for us to put this MetaRig, in general place inside of this mesh. So I'm going to press S to scale, and you can see it scaling right up from the 3D cursor there. Then I'm going to left click to lock in, and as I was scaling, I pretty much was just looking right here, making sure that this, came up and was inside the head or near the top as far as being inside the head. Okay, now since we scaled this armature up inside of object mode, when you look right here, see our scale. So what we want to do is press and hold Control, then press A, and then we're just going to apply scale. We just applied scale because it came in the current location that it's at. So the only changes we made were we scaled it up. So and again, you just want to have these settings just so you don't have to worry about any kind of issues coming up in the future from not having your settings like such as your scale applied. So I'm going to press N to take away the properties panel right now. And just so you understand that the rigging process, pretty much the way it works is you have your mesh. Generally what you do is you have your armature here. You scale your armature up so it's around the general size of your mesh, which is what we just did. Then you go in edit mode and you basically make sure that the armature is inside of the mesh, right? That's the first step. Once you generally have the armature inside the mesh, then you do different things to the armature just to make it easier for when it comes time to set up poses for that armature, as well as animating using that armature. There is a way to have Blender automatically set up your armature for you after you place it inside of your mesh. Typically, I don't use those options because what I found out was when you understand your armature, it just seems a lot easier to animate to me. So when I set up the rig myself, I understand how the rig works, and it just seems a lot easier to animate to me. So that's why I go through, and set up my own armature rather than using the, I guess you would call it the auto rigging process of Blender. Okay, so right now we're in object mode. We have our armature selected, so we're going to click here, and then we're going to go into edit mode. Okay, the main things we're going to do here in edit mode is we're going to, manipulate this armature so it fits inside of the mesh. We'll also set up parenting eventually here in edit mode. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to press Shift B. So it's hold Shift then press B. I'm going to draw a zoom box right here. I'm going to select this bone, press X to bring up our delete menu, then choose delete bones. Then I'm going to click here. Press X to bring up the delete menu, and then choose delete bones to delete those bones, just because we're not going to be using those particular bones. So I'm just rolling the mouse wheel to zoom back, holding Shift and the middle mouse button to pan, rolling the mouse wheel to zoom back again. Okay, so here we are in edit mode. We're going to go to our options panel right here. We're going to put a check mark right next to here, this X axis mirror. The reason why we put a check mark there is by selecting that or putting that check mark next to the x-axis mirror. Basically, when we move one side of this armature, the other side will also move. So this is very similar to when you're modeling with a mirror modifier on, where because we have this on, we can pretty much do half of the work that we normally would have to do if we did not have that option turned on. Okay, one other thing that I would like to mention as we get more into this tutorial is if you click File, User Preferences, scroll all the way to the bottom, and put a check mark next to User Interface Pi Menus Official. That'll just keep your interface, for the most part, like my interface. That option that I just showed you, the Pi menu, is not necessary to do this tutorial. However, for instance, if I press the Tab key, so we have those options pop up on the screen. The reason why you see the options popping up like that is because I do have that Pi Menus add-on activated. Again, it's not necessary. I just wanted to mention it in case you saw those, in my opinion, very cool looking Pi Menus popping up and wonder why your version of Blender wasn't doing that. It would probably most likely because you didn't have that selection in the user preferences add-ons selected. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to select our navigation tab. We're then going to go to right view. I'm then going to press Shift B and then draw a zoom box to zoom in some. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this meta rig and pull it back. First, we're going to just think as far as matching up the leg. So we're going to press A to select everything. Then we're going to take our manipulator right here, and we're just going to pull this back. So again, what we're thinking of right here is right now we're just pretty much looking at the leg of the meta rig and lining that up with the leg of our mesh. Okay, so since we're looking at this angle, I'm going to click right here for this piece of the armature, and I'm just raising this up and pulling that back some. I'm going to press Shift B and draw a zoom box right here. Just going to click here and push that forward some like that. Grab this tail right here and pull that back. This would be our knee joint right here. I'm going to hold Shift and hold the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to select here. I'm going to take the manipulator and push this up and then push this forward. Now you see how I have the leg coming out a little bit here? It doesn't have to be out that far. When you are rigging legs, for the most part, you always want there to be, or just about every time, you want there to be a bend in the leg just for when we set up inverse kinematics. So you definitely don't want your leg to be straight up and down because that's going to cause you issues later on. Okay, now we're just going to click here, grab our hip bone. We're going to push this forward. Okay, so what we're going to do now is roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to hold Control, hold the right mouse button, and draw a lasso select right here. So this is almost the whole upper body here. I still have this head selected of this bone of the armature. I'm going to press C for paint select, and then I'm going to press the middle mouse button and then right click to get out of paint select. So C activates paint select to help you select things. And then if you want to deselect something, you press C to activate the paint select button, and then press or hold the middle mouse button, and then you can deselect. Anyway, with this part of the upper body here, what I want you to do is pay attention to the spine. We're going to take our manipulator and we're going to push in about like that. So here's the spine here. So we have all of this area of the mesh here. However, we're looking at the spine, so we're more concerned about the mesh being, kind of centered, but more about the back, because you're, just like in the human body, your spine runs up your actual back. Okay, so what we're going to do now is press A to deselect. We're going to press Shift B. We're then going to draw a zoom box right here. We're going to take the tail of this bone and pull this back. We're going to select this bone, and we're going to move this slightly just to get the tail of this out of the way of this bone, which is actually the tail of this bone is being hidden by the head of this bone. So we'll pull this back slightly. Now you can see the tail there, so we'll grab that and then push this back. We'll select right here, push that forward. Push this forward some. We'll select here. We'll pull that back some. We'll select here, push that forward some. And just what you see here is, most of how it goes as far as positioning this armature so that it's inside of our mesh. Okay, so now we're going to press A to deselect. We're going to select right here to go to front view. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to zoom back, hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan up. I'm going to zoom back a little bit more. And you can see here we lined our legs up from the side, but from the front, they're not set up, which is fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to press Shift B to draw a zoom box. We're going to zoom in right here. We're then going to press Z and then select wireframe. The reason why we did that was so that in wireframe, typically when you select things, if you go to select something, typically you'll select the front of that object, or you might select the object that's seen but not the objects in the back. So when we go to wireframe mode, we can select the entire object or objects, ones that either the front and back of an object, as well as an object that's in front of another object that's in the back. So anyway, with that done, we'll press B for box select, and then we'll just left click and draw a box to select this piece of the armature right here. And we'll just pull this over into place like that. Then we'll press A to deselect. Okay, I'm going to press Z and then go to solid mode. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Then I'm going to select right here and then take the armature and pull it to the side. And now you can see this bone is moving when I pull this bone, again because we have this check mark next to this x-axis mirror here. So I'll just click back here to go back to navigation. Okay, I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to hold Control, hold the right mouse button, draw a lasso select around this hand. I'm going to push the hand in and then just push down. Okay, I'm going to grab this tail right here. I'm going to push this in, then push this down, just matching that up to go into the elbows. Okay, now we're going to click here to go to right view. We still have the elbow selected, so we're going to pull this back like that. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to turn to the side. I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to hold Control, hold the right mouse button, draw a lasso select around the hand. I'm going to select here to go back to right view. Then I'm going to pull this hand back just for the general area as far as placing the hand inside of the mesh. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to turn to the side. I'm then going to press A to deselect. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to press Shift B to draw a zoom box right here. Okay, now I'm going to select these bones right here. Remember, select this bone. The x-axis mirror will make this bone react as well. So I'm holding the middle mouse button just to turn to the side. I'm just pulling this bone back, holding the middle mouse button, taking a look to make sure it's inside the body, pulling that back more. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. Now I'm going to grab here and push this forward. Now I'm holding the middle mouse button just to take a look. I'll select right here, pull that back some. So hold the middle mouse button just to look to see what's going on. I'll click here, push this over slightly. I'll grab here and then push this over slightly, and I'm just trying to get this bone to be basically inside of the mesh. Okay, I want to recommend that you use your manipulator to place your bones inside of your mesh. Like, you can grab it and you can move it around, it being the armature, but I recommend you use your manipulator because it will keep your bones from rolling, and without getting into some kind of a very complicated thing, you're better off not having your bones roll when you don't want them to roll. So long story short, just use the manipulator to maneuver your armature bones into your mesh. When you think you have a bone in, right, what you're going to have to do is hold the middle mouse button, or don't have to hold the middle mouse button, but you're going to have to basically look around at your mesh from different angles to see if your bones are in. So now, like, look at this arm right here, this armature bone in the upper arm. See how when I rotate the view, we can see that, okay, that bone is, for the most part, it's in the mesh, or actually more than the most part, it's in the inside of the mesh, and that's how we want it to be. Okay, so I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to zoom. I'm going to click right here, and I'm just going to push this forward somewhat. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to click here. Then I'm just going to pull back some like that. Okay, I'm going to press A to deselect, and most of our body is set up, which is good. Remember, for this knee joint, you do not want this straight. You want to have a slight bend in here. Even if your bone is coming out of your leg a little bit, better to have that than to have your knee joint be straight. As a matter of fact, I'm actually going to click here, pull this back just slightly, just so there's a little bit even more of a bend to that leg there. Okay, so what we're going to do now is press A to deselect. I'm going to press Shift B, then draw a zoom box right here. As far as putting the armature inside of the mesh, the most difficult part usually is trying to set up putting the armature bones inside of the hand. However, there is something we can do to speed up the process. So what we're going to do is hold the middle mouse button to turn to the side. This is the camera right here. Because we're inside of the edit mode for the armature, we can't select the camera, even though it looks like we can. Anyway, we're going to press C for paint select. We're going to select these fingers right here. I'm going to right click to get out of paint select. Then we're going to press X to bring up our delete menu. We're then going to choose delete bones. Holding the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Then I'm going to select here, hold shift, select here, still holding shift, then select here. I'm still holding shift. Now I'm letting go of shift. So now I'm going to press X to bring up the delete menu. Then I'm going to choose delete bones. Okay, unlike the bones that we deleted near the beginning of this tutorial, we do need those finger bones. However, what I found out was typically when you set up this finger right here, it's the right size, the right shape generally for the rest of the bones. So by deleting these bones, we can set up this finger and then just duplicate this finger across. That tends to make the process quicker, is what I found out through my experience with rigging. Okay, so what we're going to do is hold the middle mouse button to take a look. We're going to press C for paint select, select all this right here. Right click to get out of paint select. We'll just push that back for now. Hold the middle mouse button. And what we're going to do is, let me hold the middle mouse button again so I don't grab that. Actually, you know what we can do? We'll click here. We'll press H to temporarily hide that. So that bone is still there. It's just hidden from view. So I'm going to press A to deselect right there. I'm then going to press C for paint select. I'm going to select these bones right here. I'm going to right click to get out of paint select. Up. There's one here. I didn't see. I'm going to press C again. Now I got that. I'm going to right click to get out of paint select. I'm I'm going to hold the middle mouse button just to change the view. I'm going to press S to scale these bones down some. Then I'm going to take the manipulator and get these general fingers in the bone. I'm going to click this head right here, take the manipulator and push this up like that. Okay, so now I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to take a look. I'm going to press A to deselect there. I'm going to press C for paint select. I'm going to select these group of bones right here. I'm going to right click. Then I'm going to take the manipulator and just position these bones more towards the center of that finger right there. Okay, so we're going to press A to deselect. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. I'm going to go to the navigational tab and select it by clicking here. I'm then going to select front to go to front view. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan over. I'm going to press shift B and then draw a zoom box right here. I'm then going to hover my mouse here. I'm going to press L and then I'm going to take the manipulator and pull this over into the general place of where it should go. I'm then going to click right here to select right view. I'm then going to push this over just a little. Okay, now what I'm going to do is hold the middle mouse button just to take a look. So the thumb is generally in the area of where it should be, which is what we want. Okay, so what we're going to do now is click here to go to right view. We're going to right click here to put the 3D cursor there. It'll be easy to rotate this, these group of thumb bones off of this cursor. To rotate off of the cursor, what we need to do is click here, which this helps us, or this is where we can set up our pivot point. So we're going to change the default pivot point, which is the median point, to the 3D cursor. So now with the pivot point changed to the 3D cursor, we can press R to rotate like that. And then because we're on this pivot point, when we scale, we'll scale towards that 3D cursor, which is the pivot point. So we're going to press S to scale and then left click to lock in. Okay, from this angle, the thumb bones look good. However, in 3D, typically what looks good in one angle isn't actually correct. So we're going to click here to go to front view. And we can see from here that the thumb isn't actually in our mesh. So what we're going to do is click this tip right here. Click back here to go back into front view. Our 3D cursor still on the, it's still the pivot point, I should say. So we're going to click here, select Blender's default pivot point, which is the medium point. And now we're just going to push this towards the general area. We'll hold the middle mouse button, grab what we need. I'm going to press shift B and draw a zoom box for right here. So we have this selected. We'll click here to go back to the front view. Push this to where we need it to be. Hold the middle mouse button, select here, go to front view. And the reason why we're going back to front view is see how our manipulator is like, straight up and down and left and right. So it's actually easy, fairly easy to manipulate these joints. However, if we try to manipulate like this, we start having issues. So anyway, we have that joint selected. So we're just going to push that in like there. Then I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to take a look. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and it looks like it is in there now. So I'm going to click here to go to right view. And that looks decent. So I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to press A to deselect. We're going to hover our mouse here. We're then going to press L to select this group of bones. We're then going to press and hold Control, then press N. And we're going to choose negative global x-axis. Then we're going to press Control N again. Then we're going to choose negative global y-axis. Okay, and the reason why we did that was we recalculated the rolls of these bones just in case when we were manipulating those bones, if they had rolled in an uncontrolled fashion. Okay, so with that done, we're going to press Shift D, then left click to lock in, and just take the manipulator, drag this over, push this down some. We'll press S to scale up a little bit. Then we'll press Shift D to duplicate, left click to lock in, take our manipulator, drag this over some. We'll press S to scale up some, left click to lock in. Then we'll press Shift D again, left click to lock in, drag this over some, press S to scale down some, then left click to lock in. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to select here, push this over a little, select here, push this over a little, select here, push that over a little, select here, push this over a little. Okay, now we're going to press A to deselect. We're going to hover our mouse here, press L. We're now going to click here to go to back view. We're then going to take the manipulator and push this over a little. I'm just making sure that that is actually in the finger. We'll click here, push that in just a little bit more. I just selected here just to move this manipulator out of the way so I can get to this joint right here, holding them in the mouse button. Now I'm just looking at the other fingers. So I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to hover here, press L, and I'm looking right here. So I'm going to take the manipulator and just push this up some. Now I'm looking at this finger, holding the middle mouse button to rotate. So I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to hover here, press L, and just push this up some. Now I'm just holding the middle mouse button, just looking, and it looks like they are in position. So I'm going to press A to deselect. Okay, now with those in place, what I'm going to do is press and hold Alt, then press H to bring back this bone that was hidden here. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel back some, hold the middle mouse button to turn. I'm going to push this into the hand. And I'm just bringing this down some. I'm going to grab these. I'm going to select right to go to right view and pull these up some like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is press A to deselect. I'm going to click here to go to front view. I'm going to click here and position this a little bit better by pushing that back some like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click here to go to right view. I'm then going to press A to deselect. I'm going to click here. The manipulator is going to get in my way because I want to select here, here, as well as here. So I'm going to press and hold Control, then press space while holding Control. I'm going to select the manipulator to temporarily take away the manipulator. I'm then going to hold Shift, and I can then easily select what I want because the manipulator is not in the way. Now I'm going to press and hold Control, then press space, then select the manipulator to bring it back. I'm then going to select here to go to front view, and then I'm going to take the manipulator to push all of those pieces of the armature into position. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is press A to deselect. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. What we have to do now is make sure that these bones are rolled the right direction. And basically what that means is these bones can basically twist. They need to be facing the right direction for your character to animate correctly once you go to animate it. Okay, if you go to your puppeteer button right here, it looks like a little stick guy kind of. If you click here and put a check mark next to axes, I'm going to hover here, then I'm going to press Shift B, then I'm going to draw a zoom box so we can zoom in. And I'll hold the middle mouse button to rotate. Let me click here so we can rotate around that selection. See these, I'm going to press Shift B, draw another zoom box to get closer. See how it says Z here? I'll hold the middle mouse button, X here, and then Y here. Basically, we can see from these, which direction the bones are facing. If we press the N key to bring up the properties panel, this roll right here, if we left click here and drag, we'll actually see this bone roll as we, manipulate this number right here. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on this because I don't want you to start feeling nervous because rigging is very cool. However, it can get complicated, but often I think people present it as being more complicated than it is. You should know that you can just adjust the bone one way by, selecting here and rolling. You also need to know which direction these bones are facing. There's different theories on which way the bone should face. I prefer to have the Z facing down. So there's a couple different ways we can have that happen. So I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to press the N key to take away our properties panel right there. Okay, I'm going to hold Control and then hold the middle mouse button, pull back just to zoom back some more. Blender, in its usual amazingness, has an easy way to deal with this. So I want this Z to be facing down, right? So what we're going to do is I'm going to press C for paint select. I'm going to roll my mouse wheel. I'm going to select all of these bones right here. Right click the out of paint select. Zoom back a little bit more. Press C for paint select and select all of this right here. Then I'm going to right click to get out of paint select, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press and hold Control, then press N. This menu pops up, and I'm going to choose this option right here, Global Negative Z Axis. Again, there's a lot of different theories on how your bones should be rolled. The main thing is that you want your bones to be consistent, at least as far as like with the hand. So for the hand, the fingers of the bone, you basically want the bones facing in the same direction. Okay, what we're going to do now is press A to deselect. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm then going to press C for paint select and select these bones on the thumb. I'm going to right click to get out of paint select. I'm then going to press and hold Control, then press N. And then I am also going to choose again Global Negative Z Axis. And I'm going to press Shift B and then draw a zoom box to zoom in. Okay, and you can see here that the Z axis is not facing down. You could leave that like that because the thumb tends to be a different angle than the fingers actually are. However, I prefer to have the Z axis going down on the thumb as well. So here's a nice little tip I learned from Peter Drosselick. If you press and hold Control, and then while holding Control press R, you can then move all of your bones as far as rolling them all at the same time. So now I'm going to left click to lock that in, and now the Z axis, the roll is towards the Z axis facing down now, which is, what I want for these group of thumb bones here. Okay, so I'm going to hold the Control button, hold the middle mouse button, and pull back. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to hold Control, hold the middle mouse button again to zoom out some more. Okay, what we did was we positioned these bones in the hand. We set up the rolls on the bones so that they are correct. Matter of fact, I'm going to click here and uncheck the check mark next to axis. So yeah, we positioned the bones, we set up the rolls. However, we didn't rig the bone, quote unquote, because we didn't set up constraints on it. However, I want to show you this just in case you are in a rush or you're in a tight deadline, or you just want to, deal with the hands, particularly as far as taking less time to have these things begin a pose that you might want, right? This is pretty cool. I'm going to press A to deselect. Even though the hands don't have constraints on them, we can kind of make them act like they do. And the way we can do that is we're going to, remember, we set up the roll in edit mode. We position the bones in edit mode, right? I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to go to pose mode. So now we're in pose mode. So, pose mode, we pose the bones. So what we're going to do is we're going to select all of these bones right here. Then I'm going to press the C to activate the paint select there. I'm going to right click to get out of paint select. Okay, and what we're going to do to allow us to easily pose these bones is we're going to click here, and we're going to go away from Blender's default pivot point, which is the medium point, and change this to individual origins. Okay, now what we can do with that set up is we can press R to rotate on the Y axis. You see that? So the finger bones are curling in like they have constraints on them, but it's because we have that pivot point on the individual origins, which is pretty cool. I'm going to right click to get out of there. I'm going to press A to deselect. Okay, and to do a similar thing with the thumb, we're going to press C for paint select. We're going to select the bones of the thumb. I'm going to right click to get out of paint select. Now we're going to press R to rotate on the Z axis. And you can see the thumb, doing a similar thing, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to right click to get out of here. I'm going to press A to deselect. Okay, I'm going to click here to change this pivot point from individual origins back to Blender's default pivot point, which is the medium point. I'm then going to click here and I'm going to go to object mode. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to hold the control button, then hold the middle mouse button, pull back. And now we have all of our bones, placed inside. As far as the forming bones anyway. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're actually going to click here. We're then going to go to pose mode. Remember, you position your bones inside the body inside of edit mode. You set up bone constraints. You set up bone constraints inside of pose mode. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button, and what we want to do now is we're going to click here. We're going to hold shift, and then we're going to select here. We held shift because shift allows you to select more than one bone. The order is important, so first you select here, then you select here. What we're going to do now is hover our mouse right here. We're going to roll the middle mouse button. See this bone? It looks like it's there with a chain. So we're going to click that. And we're actually going to use a shortcut to do this. Remember, we selected here first. We held shift, then we selected there. We're going to press shift. And then while holding shift, press I. This brings up our add IK button. So we're then going to choose to active bone. And now when we did that, you can see this bone here turn yellow to show that it has a constraint on it. And IK is short for inverse kinematics, which I like the name of that. It sounds cool. Inverse kinematics. It sounds all complicated. It's not too complicated. Basically, what inverse kinematics, kind of an easy way to explain them is they tend to be very useful for when you have an object pushed against something. So, when you have a character standing on the ground, it's, quote unquote, pushing against the ground. So what this allows us to do is after we set up the rest of the inverse kinematics, so with that there, what we're going to do is look over here. I'm going to hover here. I'm going to pull this to the side. See this chain length right here? What we want to do is click this and take this up to 2. All right, so now with that done, now when we grab the root bone here and we push down, you see that? So the inverse kinematic allows this figure. I'm still holding the left button. I'm going to right click to get this to jump right back. The inverse kinematic on this leg allows us to easily have this character bend down, and walk. Animations similar to that, and inverse kinematics are great for. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to click here. We're going to go to edit mode. I'm going to hold shift, and while holding shift, I'm going to press B to draw a zoom box so we can zoom in here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to turn to the side. Okay, I'm going to select right here, and then I'm going to push this down just slightly. I'm going to select here, take the manipulator, and push this in slightly. Okay, what I'm going to do now is press A to deselect. I'm going to select here to go to front view. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel again to zoom back. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan again. Okay, we're about to work on this leg and set up to put some constraints on this leg to make it easy to animate with. There's no need to do the steps on this leg and then do the steps on this leg as well. So what we're going to do is get rid of this leg. We'll work on this leg, and then when we're done working on this leg, we'll duplicate it to this side. Okay, what we need to do is we need to go to options first and then uncheck this x-axis mirror. If we left this on and deleted the one bone on the one side, this x-axis mirror would make the other bones on the other side be deleted as well. So I'm going to uncheck this. I'm going to check back on tools right there. Okay, so what we're going to do now is press shift B, then draw a zoom box right here. I'm then going to hold control, hold the right mouse button, and then draw a lasso, select dodging the middle there around these group of leg bones right there. I'm then going to press X to bring up our delete menu, then choose delete bones to delete. Okay, so what we're going to do now is click on the navigation tab right here. Then we're going to select right to go to right view. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is right click right here. I right click right there to put the 3D cursor there. In Blender, where the 3D cursor is at is where objects tend to come into Blender at. So what I'm going to do is press and hold shift, then press A to bring another armature bone in. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press shift S, and then I'm going to choose selection to cursor offset. And you can see it looks like the bone disappeared. But what that allows us to do is just take the manipulator and push straight out this way. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to press Shift B, then draw a zoom box right here. I'm going to select the bone there, then take the manipulator and push straight down. We want this bone to be right underneath of these other bones. We're looking at basically a 2D view of the bones. So what we have to do is I'm rolling the mouse wheel to zoom back, is hold the middle mouse button to turn to the side. And then we can see that the bone is, not quite right. So I'm going to hold the middle mouse button a little bit more. Then I'm just going to take the manipulator and push that bone so it's right underneath this bone here. Okay, what we're going to do now is select this button here to go back to right view. We're now going to do some parenting of the bones. So we're going to click right here. We're going to hold shift. We're then going to, while holding shift still, I'm selecting here. And now I'm going to press and hold control, then press P. That brings up our make parent option. We're going to choose keep offset. We're then going to select this bone, hold shift, and then while holding shift, select this bone here. Then we're going to hold control, then press P. That brings up our make parent menu. We're then going to choose keep offset again. Okay, and typically the way rigging works is that you will set up parenting in edit mode, and then you will set up bone constraints in pose mode. So what we're going to do now is we're going to click here. We're then going to go to pose mode. We're then going to select this bone first. The order is very important. This bone first, then we're going to hold shift and then select this bone here. Now we're going to press and hold shift, then hold control. And while holding shift as well as control, now I'm pressing C. Okay, so now this menu pops up, which is our add constraint with targets menu. And what we want to do is go to where it says copy location. As soon as I click this right here, the bottom bone is going to jump up. Don't be alarmed, that's expected. Okay, I'm going to roll the mouse wheel back, and you can see here's our bone right here. So what we need to do is we need to click on this bone constraint menu. So we still have that bone selected. So see right here where it says head/tail. What we need to do is take this up to 1, and now you can see our bone is back in the place that it should be. By the way, if you want a little bit more explanation on rigging, I have a playlist of rigging tutorials where some of the older tutorials I go into a little bit more detail. So I'll put a link up here so you can get to that. Okay, let's continue. Okay, what we're going to do now is press A to deselect. We're going to click here and then go back to edit mode. Okay, I'm going to press Shift B and then draw a zoom box right here. And what we want to do now is click here, then we're going to hold Shift and then click here. And then I'm going to press Shift D, and I didn't click anything. I move the mouse typically when I duplicate bones or duplicate other objects just to make sure that I can see that they're duplicated. And then I right click to get those bones to jump right back into place. Okay, so what we have here is 4 bones. It looks like there's 2 bones there, but there's actually 4. I'm going to hold them in a mouse button to rotate. I'm going to press the N key to bring up our properties panel. I'm then going to scroll down so that you can see right here where it says item. Here you can actually see the name of each bone, which is very useful. Okay, in Blender, when you have 2 objects that are right on top of each other, when you click the object one time, you'll select one, and then you click in the same place again, you'll select the object underneath of it. So we're going to click here, and this was the original bone here. Now we'll click again, and we can see this says foot.l.001, which is the second bone. So what we want to do is we're going to click here, and we're going to name this foot_roll.l, and press enter to lock that in. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to click right here and see how this says toe.l.001. Because it says, .001, we can tell that this is the duplicate bone right here. Okay, so what we want to do is click here. And I'm going to just backspace. We're going to name this toe underscore control.L. Then I'll press enter to lock that in. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to click this bone, and we can see right here this is the original bone. We don't want that one, so we're going to click again. So now we have our foot underscore roll.L bone selected. Okay, now with that bone selected, we're going to click here, and then we're going to go to pose mode. And with this bone still selected, we're going to press R to rotate on the X axis, and then left click to lock that in. Okay, now this bone, because it's a duplicate of this bone, let me click right here on our bone constraints, still has a copy rotation from this bone. When we duplicated this bone, it also duplicated the copy location constraint. However, we do not want that on our foot underscore roll.L bone. So we're going to come here and then click X to delete that constraint off of that bone. Okay, now one of the advantages that we have here in pose mode is we rotated this bone so we can clearly see this is a bone, this is bone, this is another bone, and this is another bone. However, in edit mode, it looks like these bones are 2 bones instead of the 4 bones that they actually are. So we're going to go back and forth and take advantage of our easy ability to select the right bone here in pose mode. So I'm going to click here, and this is our toe underscore control.L bone. Now we're about to click to go back into edit mode. When we go back into edit mode, this bone is going to be right on top of this bone. However, because we selected it here in pose mode and we can clearly see what it is, we can feel assured that we have the right bone selected. And again, the selection of the bones and the order of the bones is very important. So anyway, we're going to click here and then go back into edit mode. Okay, so here in edit mode, knowing that we have the toe underscore control.L selected, we're going to hold shift and then select this bone. So we selected that bone first and then this bone. And now what we're going to do is press Control P. This brings up our make parent menu, and then we're going to choose keep offset. Okay, so what we're going to do now is press A to deselect. We're then going to click here to go to pose mode. We came into pose mode set so that we could select this bone right here, the foot underscore roll.L bone, and just be sure that we came in here so we could be sure that we actually have this bone and didn't select this bone by accident. And again, it's important. When I first learned how to do this, or was trying to learn how to do it, I could not get the foot of roll to work correctly. And I believe it's because the bones were on top of each other. I wasn't selecting them in the proper order. So now, using pose mode, there's no doubt that we have the foot underscore roll.L bone selected. Okay, so what we're going to do now is click here, go back to edit mode. We're then going to select right view, and then with that bone selected, which is the foot underscore roll.L bone, we're going to press R to rotate on the X axis 1, 8, 0, and then left click to lock in. Okay, we're here in right orthographic mode. When you look at this bone, see how it kind of has a 3D look? See how this looks 2D, this looks 2D, this looks 2D. Like, in other words, you can only see, up and down, where this you can see up, down. You can see like this little roll basically right there. So what we're going to do to deal with that is we're going to press and hold Control, then press N. This brings up our recalculate menu. And then what we're going to choose is global Z axis for this bone. Okay, and if you're wondering why we chose a global Z instead of global negative Z like we did with the fingers, I'll show you very quickly. I'll click the puppeteer button. I'll click the axis there. So when I hold the middle mouse button to turn, see how this is facing up for Z, and now this is also facing Z up. So basically, you just want the bones to be consistent. Okay, so now I'm going to go to right view, and you can see that now this no longer has a quote-unquote 3D look to it. So I'm going to press A to deselect it. Again, it's important in order that we select things. So what we're going to do now is we're going to select right here, right? And now we need to grab this bone, and just to make sure that we correctly grab it, we're going to temporarily go to pose mode. So this bone is still selected even though we're in pose mode. We're going to hold shift and then select this bone just so we know for sure that we absolutely have that bone. And you can see, foot underscore roll.l right here. So now we're going to click here and then go back to edit mode. Okay, now with those two bones selected, we're going to press control, and while holding control we're going to press P. This brings up our make parent menu. Before, normally, I believe so far we've chosen keep offset. This time we're going to choose connected. Okay, so what we're going to do now is press A to deselect. We're also going to uncheck right next to axis here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to click here, then we're going to go to pose mode. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to select these two bones. We want the toe control bone first and then the toe bone second. So what I'm going to do is hold the middle mouse button to turn. I'm just turning so I can get a better view for when I select. I'm going to press Shift B and draw a zoom box right here. I'm going to left click right here. I'm going to hold Shift. Then while holding Shift, I'm going to select this bone right here. Okay, just to be clear, we selected our toe control bone first and then our toe.L bone second. Okay, with these two bones selected in the order that we selected them, we're going to press Shift I. This makes our Add IK menu pop up. Now, when I click this, you're going to see our bones go into disarray for a second. They're going to look out of place. Be prepared for it and don't let it get to you. So here we go. Okay, let me zoom back so you can see kind of what's going on, and you can see, that jumble of bones right there. And to fix that, we'll keep the bones as they are as far as, how we selected them. Now we're going to click here, and what we're going to do is look at this chain length. We're going to change this to 1, and then we're going to take away this check mark from use tail. Okay, and now with those two bones still selected, what we're going to do is press Shift Control C, and then we're going to choose copy rotation. Okay, what we're going to do now is press A to deselect. We're going to select this bone right here. We're then going to hold Alt, then press R, and what that does is that resets our rotation for the bone. While that bone is still selected, we're going to hold Alt, then press G, and that resets the location for the bone. We're going to click here and hold Alt, then press R to reset the rotation, then hold Alt again, then press G just to make sure that everything is reset for this bone as well. Okay, and with this bone still selected, another thing we need to do is if you are going to animate your rig, right, and you don't have your bones named where one side of the rig has .L and .R, on the other side, when you go to animate, if you use reversed opposite pose, your pose won't work correctly. For your, you would normally copy a pose, then reverse it to set up walk cycles very easily. You have to make sure that you have that .L on the appropriate bones and .R on the appropriate bones. So anyway, with this bone selected, we're going to click here. Right now, it's currently just named bone. So we'll click here. Then we're going to name this F underscore handle dot L, and then I'll press enter to lock that in. Okay, and with all of those bones set up, now our foot and ankle bone are set up and ready to be animated. So what we're going to do is click right to go to right view. I'm going to hold control, then hold the middle mouse button to zoom back some. And I'm going to press G, and you can see, we can just, move that bone just like that. I'm going to right click to get that to jump back into place. Now I'm going to press R to rotate on the X axis. We can see, we can have the foot lean back, or we can have it lean forward. I'm going to right click to get it to jump right back into place now. Okay, now if we click here, which is our foot underscore roll.L bone, and then press R to rotate on the X axis, you can see we can easily, flex that foot ankle rig there, and I think you'll find this extremely useful for when you go to set up walk cycles as well as run cycles when you are animating your character. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to duplicate this leg onto the other side. So we're going to click here to go to front view. I'm going to hold the control button down, then I'm going to hold the middle mouse button down, then pull back. Then I'm going to hold shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan down. Okay, now we want our 3D cursor to be exactly in the center of the screen. So to do that, we're going to hold shift, and while holding shift, press C. You can see the 3D cursor jump right to the center of the screen. I'm going to press shift B and then draw a zoom box right here to zoom in. Okay, now what we want to do is change our pivot point so that the pivot point is right on the 3D cursor. So we're going to click here, and then we're going to change our pivot point from Blender's default pivot point, which is the median point, to the 3D cursor. Okay, what we want to do now is take note of the fact that we're in pose mode. We want to duplicate these bones right here. So we duplicate bones in edit mode, not in pose mode, which we're currently in. So we're going to click here and then select edit mode. Okay, now that we're in edit mode, the mode that you want to be in to duplicate bones or add bones or whatever, and because we want to duplicate these bones to the other side, what we want to do now is press A to deselect any bones that are currently selected. We're then going to hold down control, hold down the right mouse button, and then draw a lasso select around all of the bones in this leg, like that. Okay, with these bones selected, we're going to press Shift D to duplicate the bones. I'm going to move my mouse to the side just so I can see the bones are duplicated. I'm then going to right click to get those bones to jump right back. And then with those same bones selected, I'm going to press S to scale on the X axis, -1, and then left click to lock in. Okay, with all of those bones still selected, what we want to do is press W to bring up our specials menu. We then want to choose flip names. Okay, and what that flip names did was, if I click here, you can see that this is Shen.L. If I click here, you can see that now this is Shen.R. Originally, this was named, Shen blah 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 .L as well. When we flip the names, Blender automatically, renamed it Shen.R. This is actually very important because, again, I had mentioned earlier, that's why I say again, when you go to set up a walk cycle, if you want to use duplicate and then paste onto the reverse pose when you're trying to animate, if you don't have your bones set up as far as .R and .L, then you won't be able to copy a pose and then paste that pose reverse, which makes walk cycles and run cycles very easy to do inside of Blender. Okay, what we want to do now is press A to deselect. We want to click here and change this pivot point from the 3D cursor back to Blender's default pivot point, which is the median point. We then want to click here and then go into pose mode. Okay, the reason why we came into pose mode was so we could make sure that everything is working correctly. So I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to just change the view a little bit. I'm going to click here, I'm going to push straight down, and we can see this is working correctly. I'm going to right click to get that to go right back into place. What I'm going to do now is press Shift B. I'm then going to draw a zoom box right here. I'm going to click here, press G, and that's moving correctly. I'm going to right click to get that to move back into its original place. Okay, now I'm going to select our foot_roll.elbow, and I'm going to press R to rotate on the X axis, and that looks like that's working correctly. So I'm going to right click to get that to jump back into place. I'm going to click here, I'm going to press G. That looks correct. I'm going to right click to get that to jump back into place. I'm going to click here to select our foot_roll.elbow. Now I'm going to press R to rotate on the X axis, and that looks correct as well. So I'm going to right click to get that to jump back into place. Okay, what we're going to do now is add something called pull targets to to our armature, and this just assists as far as setting up poses, dealing with the legs. So what we're going to do is click here and then go back to edit mode because we do need to add another bone. I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to select right here. I'm going to hold Control, hold the mouse, the middle mouse button. Then I'm going to press Shift S to bring up our Snap to menu, and then I'm going to choose Cursor to selected. Okay, the reason why I put the 3D cursor there was to bring in a new armature bone there. And remember, in Blender, where the 3D cursor is at is where objects tend to come into. I wanted the 3D cursor to be right on the knee. That's why I used the Shift plus S, or Shift and S to snap to get the 3D cursor right there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press Shift A, which brought in another armature bone. And when it came in, the top head of the armature bone is selected. So I'm just going to push down some. Let me hold Control, hold the middle mouse button so you can see what's going on. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. So here's our bone right here. Not there, right here. So I'm going to roll the mouse wheel back, hold the middle mouse button to turn to the side, push this out some right there. Zoom back. Push this down just a little. I'm going to press S to scale to shrink this down a little bit more. Okay, when we brought this bone in here, Blender named it bone. So we're going to click here to change the name. We're going to name this PT, short for pole target, .L. And then we're going to press enter to lock that in. Okay, so now what we want to do is duplicate this to the other side. So we're going to click here to go to front view. We're then going to press Shift D to duplicate this pole target. We're going to press right click on our mouse to get that to jump right back into place. We're then going to click here and change the pivot point from Blender's default pivot point, which is the median point, to the 3D cursor. Okay, now what we need to do is to center our 3D cursor. So we're going to press Shift C to center that. We're then going to press Shift B and then draw a zoom box right here. And then now with the pivot point set to the 3D cursor, with the 3D cursor being right in the center here, and with our duplicate pole target being selected, now we're going to press S to scale on the x-axis -1, and then left click to lock in. Okay, with that duplicate pole target still selected, when you look here, you can see this is the name that Blender automatically gave this bone when we duplicated it. So what we're going to do is press W to bring up our specials menu. We're then going to choose flip names. And now you can see when we selected that, Blender now changed the name to pt.r, which is excellent. Okay, now what we're going to do is press A to deselect. We're then going to click here and change the pivot point from the 3D cursor back to Blender's default pivot point, which is the median point. Okay, so now we have our pole targets. Now we need to set up the constraint settings for the pole target. So we're in edit mode. We need to do that in pose mode. So we're going to click here and then go to pose mode. What we need to do now is to select right here. We're then going to go to our bone constraints menu right here. And then when you look here, you see it says pole target there. So what we need to do now is click here and then select meta rig. Okay, now we can see that right here we have this option to select the bone. So we can click here, this list of bones pops up. If we press P, then we can select our pole target, which is pt.l. So we select that. As soon as we selected that, the pole target, it jumps to the side. It just does that. It's easy to deal with it. We go to this pole target angle here. Typically when this pole target jumps to the side, it jumps to the side by 90 degrees. So we're going to click here and then we're going to put in -90 and then press enter to lock that in. Okay, now we need to set up the pole target for the other leg. So what we're going to do is click here. So we click on the shin bone because our inverse kinematic is on here. That's why we selected, the shin bone there. So with this selected, what we're going to do now is click here, select meta rig. Then we're going to go here and then select our pole target bone. So we're going to press P. And then we can see here's pt.l there. So I'm going to roll the mouse wheel. And now we can see pt.r. So now we're going to select that. We have our pole target jump. And then we can either click the arrows here to adjust this pole angle for the pole target, or we can click here and then just type in -90 and then press enter to lock that in. Okay, what we're going to do now is press A to deselect. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Currently, these pole targets are just floating in space. We want to have these pole targets set up so that they move when we move the legs. And after we do that, I'll show you, what the purpose of the pole targets is for. So we're going to parent the pole targets to this bone right here. So to do that, we're going to click here and then select edit mode. Okay, and as far as all of the mode switching, in pose mode, we set up bone constraints typically. In edit mode, typically we set up parenting. And sometimes you'll parent inside of the other modes. I don't want to confuse you, but typically we'll duplicate bones in edit mode, we'll parent bones in edit mode, and we will set up constraints in pose mode. So with that being said, what we're going to do now is I'm going to hold the middle mouse button just to change the view to make this easy to select. I'm going to select right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press Shift B. I'm going to draw a zoom box right here. I want to parent this armature bone to here. Okay, so typically the way it works is you select the armature bone that you want to be parented to something else first. So we select this bone first, then we hold Shift, and then we select the armature bone that we want to be the parent of the first bone. So holding Shift, I'm going to select this bone, and then I'm going to press Control P. That brings up our Make Parent menu. I'm then going to choose Keep Offset. I'm now going to click this armature bone right here. I'm going to hold Shift. I'm then going to select right here. I'm then going to hold Control P. That brings up our Make Parent menu. Then I'm going to choose Keep Offset. Okay, with that done, what we're going to do now is hold Control, hold the middle mouse button, and pull back. I'm going to click here. I'm then going to go to pose mode. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side. Now you see if I select a pole target, if I grab here, you see how that leg is rotating. So I'm going to right click to get that to jump right back. So basically, if we, for instance, have the character bend down and we want one leg to go out to the side, what we would do is select the pole target and then it just gives us control over having the rotation of the leg go right where we want it to go. So I'm going to hold Alt, then press R, then hold Alt, press G to get that to pop right back into place. Then going to click here, and then I'm going to hold Alt, then press G while holding Alt to get that pose to reset, or that bone to reset. I'm going to press A then to deselect. Okay, what I'm going to do now is click here to go to the front view. I'm going to hold Control as well as hold the middle mouse button to zoom back. Now I'm going to hold Shift and hold the middle mouse button to pan the view. I'm then going to press Shift B and then draw a zoom box right here. Get that zoom in a little. I am going to hover my mouse here and just pull this in a little just to shrink the size of that properties panel. Okay, as far as rigging the lower body, we're almost done with rigging the lower body. In the past, I have shown how to rig a female character before. Okay, when I select the hips bone and then I press R to rotate on the Y axis, you see how the upper body moves right there and the lower body moves a little bit. I'm going to right click to get the hips bone to reset back to its original position. Okay, in my opinion, where you'll see some of the cooler female poses is where you have a female character standing and she'll have her hip kind of poked out to the side. On the cover art for the tutorial where I show how to make this simple female character mesh, I have the character standing and she kind of has her hip poked out to the side. Okay, to be able to easily do poses like that, what you need for this bone to be able to rotate back and forth independently of the upper body. So I'm going to show you how to set that up now. Okay, to do that, what we need to do is add a new bone in here. And we set up constraints as well as inverse kinematics inside of pose mode. We add new bones inside of edit mode. So currently we're inside of pose mode. So we need to click here and then select edit mode to go into edit mode. Okay, here in edit mode, we already have the hips bone selected since we previously selected that bone inside of pose mode. Okay, with that bone selected, I'm going to press Shift D to duplicate the bone. I'm going to pull my mouse to the side slightly just so I know in fact that that bone has been duplicated. I'm then going to right click to get that bone to jump back to its original position. Okay, and with that bone selected, we're going to click here. We're then going to rename this bone hips underscore control. Then we're going to press enter. Okay, and because that bone is in the center, we don't need to have a .L or a .R attached to that bone's name. Okay, what I'm going to do now is press Shift B. I'm then going to draw a zoom box right here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to turn towards the side. Okay, and it looks like we have one bone here. However, we know that we have the duplicate bone selected because we can see the name that we gave to that duplicate bone right here. So what we want to do with that duplicated bone selected is we want to press R to rotate on the x-axis 180, and then we want to press enter to lock the rotation of that bone in. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press Shift B. I'm going to draw another zoom box right here. And what we need to do now is first select the hips bone, which you can see the name here. We need to now hold Shift, and then second select our hips control bone. All right. So with the hips being selected first, I then held Shift, and then I selected the hips control bone. Now what I'm going to do is hold down Control, then I'm going to press P to bring up our Make Parent menu, and then I'm going to choose Keep Offset. Okay, and now with those bones parented, we're going to press A to deselect. We're going to select our hips underscore control bone, and then what we're going to do is press Control N to bring up our Recalculate Roll menu, and then we're going to choose Global X-Axis just to make sure that that bone is straight. We're now going to click here to go to front view. We can see that that bone is straight now. So then we're going to click here. We're then going to go into pose mode. Okay, here in pose mode, I'm going to hold Control and hold the middle mouse button and pull back. And with this hips control bone selected, I'm going to press R to rotate on the Y axis, and you can see it's still the same. The upper body is still the same. That's, expected. And the reason why it's still the same is we have to do one more thing to get that bone to work how we want it to work. Okay, and what that is we actually have to select this bone right here. So what I'm going to do is press A to deselect. I'm going to hold Control, and then while holding Control, press my space bar key. I'm going to select the manipulator to temporarily take away the manipulator. I'm then going to click here. I only took the manipulator away because it was in the way of me selecting that bone. So with this bone selected, what we're going to do now is we're going to click right here. And then you're going to look down to this Relations tab and see where it says Inherit Rotation. You're just going to click here to take away the check mark next to Inherit Rotation. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press A to deselect our spine bone. I'm going to click here to select our hips underscore control bone. I'm then going to hold Control, then press the space bar while holding Control. I'm then going to select our manipulator to bring our manipulator back. Okay, now with our hips underscore control bone selected, what I can do is press R to rotate on the Y axis, and now you can see that our hips can rotate independently of the upper body of our character rig. So I'm going to right click to get that to jump back into its original place. Okay, having your hips rigged like this will allow you to set up some very cool poses for your female characters. Okay, what we're going to do now is I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to press Shift B, then draw a zoom box right here to zoom into this hand. Since we're about to rig the hand, we're currently in pose mode. We're going to click here and then go to edit mode. Okay, we're going to need a new bone. So what we're going to do is we're going to click here. We're then going to press Shift D and then left click to lock in. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Then we're just going to pull this bone out and then push it up a little bit using the manipulator. Okay, with this bone still selected, I'm going to click here. I'm going to rename this bone hand underscore control dot L, and then I'm going to press enter to lock that in as far as renaming that bone. Okay, what we're going to do now is I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to turn to the side. I'm then going to click here and then go back to pose mode. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and rotate the view. I'm going to press C for paint select, and I am selecting 8 bones right here. All right, so I didn't select the duplicate bone that we just made, which is right here. I selected, 2 bones here, 2 bones here, 2 bones here, as well as 2 bones here. Okay, with those bones selected, you want to make sure that you're on frame 1. You can see right here, here's our frame on our timeline indicator. So we're on frame 1. You can also see that if the green is right here, for the most part, you'll be on frame 0 or frame 1. You want to be on frame 1. Anyway, you want to hover your mouse over the 3D viewport, then you're going to press I to bring up your insert keyframe menu, and then you're going to choose rotation. Okay, and what we're going to do now is we're going to click here. We're going to go to object mode. We're going to select onto our main mesh. We're going to press H to temporarily hide that. We're then going to click back onto our armature and then click here and then come back to pose mode. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to click here, then go to front view. We're then going to go to here and click this up to frame 10. Okay, now what we're going to do is press R to rotate on the Y axis to about here. I'm then going to left click to lock that in. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to press A to deselect. I'm then going to press C for paint select and select these bottom bones right here. I'm then going to press right click to get out of paint select. I'm now going to click here to go to front view. I'm then going to press R to rotate on the Y axis like this. Then left click to lock that in. I'm then going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to press C for paint select again. I'm then going to select all of these bones right here. Then I'm going to right click to get out of paint select. Okay, now what I'm going to do is click front to go back to front view. I'm then going to press I to bring up our insert keyframe menu. I'm then going to choose rotation to insert a rotation keyframe. Okay, so what you want to do now is go back to frame 1. So I'm just going to left click here to go back to frame 1. Okay, with that done, what you want to do is hover your mouse right here over this little triangular looking stripe thing right there. You're going to left click and then drag to the side like this. Then I'm going to let go of left click actually. So we did that just to split the view. I'm then going to click here and I'm then going to select dope sheet. Okay, this is Blender's dope sheet right here. I'm going to hover my mouse right here. I'm then going to press the home key to basically fill the frame up with the keyframes that we just put on those bones. Don't let this bother you right here. This is your friend here. This will help you out. As far as animating things, if you're wondering what all those dots are, all those dots is Blender just showing you in a visual way the fact that the bones that we just had selected, showing how they're keyframes. So again, don't let it get to you. Okay, with that done, what we want to do now is go to here. We can see this is the dope sheet. We want to click here and then change this to action editor. Okay, what we're going to do now is hover our mouse right here, hold down our middle mouse button and pull to the side where we can see this says MetaRig action. We're going to click here. We're then going to rename this to finger underscore bend and then press enter to lock that in. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is hover my mouse right here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and pull to the side. I'm going to press this F button right here. That'll make it so that even if we have to open up from a save, we'll still have this action. I'm then going to press this X button here. It looks like we just did away with all of our work. We didn't. We just needed to name the action. Now I'm going to hover my mouse right here. I'm going to left click and drag to the left. And I did that just to bring us back so we had one window again. Okay, now what we're going to do is I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button, rotate the view. I'm going to select our control bone first. The order is important here. I'm then going to hold shift, and then while holding shift, I'm going to select this bone right here. Okay, with those two bones selected, I'm going to press and hold shift. While holding shift, I'm going to hold control, and then while holding shift and control, I'm then going to press C. This brings up our add constraint menu. I'm then going to choose action so that we can set up an action constraint. Okay, to finish setting up our action constraint, what we need to do is click the bone constraint here. We can see our action constraint here. So now we need to select the action we just set up. So we'll click here and then select finger bend. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to click here and change this to Y scale. We're then going to click here and change this to local space. Okay, what we need to do now is set up our action range. This right here represents the first frame of our action. So what we're going to do is click here and then enter 1. And then I'm going to press enter to lock that in. And then this is our end frame for our action, which was frame 10. So we're going to click here and then press 1, 0, and then press enter to lock that in. Okay, and if you saw that finger bend, that's fine. It's supposed to do that. For the target range, what you want to do is click here. You want to put in 1, and then I'm going to press enter to lock that in. And then for max, you want to click there and put in 0.5. And then I'm going to press enter to lock that in. Okay, now with all of that done, what I'm going to do is press A to deselect. I'm going to select our control bone. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan up. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view a little bit. Let me rotate the view to get a slightly better angle. Then I'm going to press S to scale. And you see that how when we scale that bone, the finger bends right there? So then I'm going to right click to get that bone to jump back to its original position. Okay, now what I'm going to do is press A to deselect. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to press C to activate paint select. I'm going to select all of these bones right here. I'm then going to right click to get out of paint select. Okay, the bones that we just selected didn't have the action constraint set up on them, which is important because the order is important. So we selected them first. Now with those bones selected, we're going to hold shift and then select the bone that does have the action constraint set up on it. The reason why we did that is we're going to go to pose. We're then going to go to constraints, and then we're going to select copy constraints to selected bones. Okay, what I'm going to do is hold the middle mouse button, rotate the view. I'm going to select our hand control bone. I'm going to press S to scale, and you can see our finger bones are scaling correctly as we scale our hand control bone. So I'm going to right click to get our hand control bone to go back to its original scale. Okay, now what we're going to do is with this hand control bone selected, we're going to hold shift, then select this bone right here. We're then going to press and hold shift. While holding shift, I'm going to press and hold control. Then I'm going to press C while holding shift as well as control. This brings up our add constraint menu. I'm then going to select copy rotation. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. This is the bone where we set up the copy rotation constraint from the hand control bone right here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. I'm then going to press A to deselect. I'm then going to press C for paint select. I'm going to roll the mouse just a little bit to shrink the paint select. I'm going to left click and drag across these 3 bones right here. I'm then going to right click to get out of paint select. Okay, with these bones selected first that do not have a copy rotation constraint on them, what we're going to do is hold shift and then second select this bone that does have a copy rotation constraint on it. We're then going to go to pose, then go to constraints, and then choose copy constraints to selected bones. Okay, what I'm going to do now is press A to deselect. I'm then going to hold the middle mouse button and rotate the view. I'm then going to left click on our hand control bone. Okay, now I'm going to press S to scale, and you can see our fingers bend in there. Now I'm going to press R to rotate on the Y axis, and you can see our fingers bend in even more. Then I'm going to left click to lock that in. Okay, and I like how this style of rigging sets up the posing for your hands. So what I'm going to do now is hold Alt and then press R, which resets our rotation for that hand control bone. I'm still holding Alt, then I'm going to press S to reset the scale for that hand control bone. Okay, now for the sake of time, we're not going to go over setting up pretty much the same thing for the other hand. The thumb would be a very similar way as far as setting up the rig to work with an action constraint. I'll put a link up here in another tutorial that I did that covered this, that goes over the process for the whole hand, the thumb, and the other side. But pretty much it's the same thing, done over again for the thumb as well as for the other hand. That being said, there is another way that I can quickly show you how to rig the other hand. So I'm going to press A to deselect. Then what I'm going to do is hold Control as well as hold the middle mouse button and pull back to zoom back. Then I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan the view. Okay, what I'm going to do now is press Shift B, then draw a zoom box right here. Then I'm going to select the bone. Then I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Okay, to rig this hand, what we need to do is click here and then go to Edit Mode. Okay, what we're going to do now is press Shift B. We're then going to draw a zoom box to zoom in right here. Then going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. We're going to select this bone right here. We're then going to press Shift D to duplicate this bone. I'm then going to left click to lock that in. Then going to take the manipulator and pull this bone out. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view a little bit. Push it up slightly. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view again. Okay, with this bone selected, we're going to click here. We're then going to name this hand underscore control dot R. Then we're going to press enter to lock that in. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to click here, then go back to pose mode. We're then going to hold Shift, then select this bone right here. And then we're going to press Shift, hold down Shift, press Control, hold down Control, and then press C. We're then going to choose copy rotation, because when we pressed Shift, Control, and C, our add constraint menu popped up. So now we're just going to choose copy rotation. Okay, now with that set up, what we need to do is go to our bone constraints menu. Then we need to go to where we see these two buttons saying world space. We need to just change them to local space. Okay, now with that done, we're going to press A to deselect. And what we're going to do is press C for paint select. We're then going to select all of these bones right here, including the thumb bones right here. So then we're going to right click to get out of paint select. Okay, and with those bones selected first, now we're going to hold Shift and then select this bone, which has the copy rotation constraint that we just put on it. And we want to copy that copy rotation constraint to these other bones that we selected first. So what we're going to do is just go to pose and then constraints and then to copy constraints to selected bones. Okay, now I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm then going to click here and then select our hand underscore control dot R bone. Okay, and now when we press R to rotate on the Y axis, you can see our hand bending in there, which is very cool. So I'm going to right click to get that hand underscore control dot R bone to jump back to its original position. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to press A to deselect. I'm going to select here to go to front view. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. And what we're going to do now is we're going to click the different bones. I'm holding Shift. We're going to click the different bones that we use to control our armature here. I'm going to hold Control as well as holding the middle mouse button and push in. I'm then going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Okay, I'm going to press Shift and B and then draw a zoom box to zoom in. I'm then going to hold Shift. I'm still holding Shift because the other bones should still be selected. So I'm holding Shift so I can select this bone and not lose the selection of the other bones. I'm going to hold the Control button as well as holding the middle mouse button. Then I'm going to pull back and we can see they're still selected, which is good. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. I'm then going to press Shift B and then draw a zoom box right here. Okay, I'm going to now hold Shift and then select this control bone here. Okay, now I'm going to hold Control and hold the middle mouse button and pull back. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to hold Control as well as hold the middle mouse button and pull back some more. Okay, now with all of our control bones selected, I'm going to click here on the puppeteer button. I'm then going to look to where it says bone groups right here. I'm then going to click plus to add a new bone group. I'm then going to click here or double click there. I'm then going to name this control underscore B, short for control bones. I'm then going to press enter to lock that in. I'm then going to scroll down. I'm then going to select assign. And then after we have that bone group called control underscore B set up, we can click here Oh, we can click here. I was wondering why it wasn't clicking. We could have all these different themes to pick from. I'm going to select this theme color set number 4. And it just, gives color to our bones, makes them easier to select and deal with in the future. Okay, and now with these same control bones, we need to click them and click on this button right here. Scroll down and see where we have this panel here that says the form. This basically, this check mark lets bones be set up to the form our character mesh, which is currently hidden. As far as the control bones, we don't want the control bones to deform anything. So what we want to do is uncheck where it says the form right here. Just so you understand what's going on, the reason why we want to uncheck the form for our control bones is the whole purpose of this rigging is these bones will deform the polygons that make up our character mesh, right? When we move this armature, that moves the character mesh. And that's what we want it to do most of the time. However, bones like this that are sticking out, we don't want them to interact with the character mesh. We just are using these to help us set up poses. So that's why we want to uncheck the form, because we don't want these to affect our character mesh directly. We just want them to affect how we control this armature. And the armature is the thing that controls the character. So we want the deform on these bones that are going to actually control the look of our character, and we don't want the deform on our control bones. So basically what we need to do is just go through and those control bones and just unclick the form on each one. So I'm just going through and unclicking. I'm going to press Shift B, draw a zoom box here. So click there. And unclick the form here. I'm going to hold Control as well as hold the middle mouse button to zoom back. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm then going to press Shift B, draw a zoom box here, click here, and then select to uncheck this deform for here as well. Okay, we're almost done with this armature. What we need to do is zoom back. We need to then click here and then go to edit mode. Okay, we're going to press A to deselect. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm then going to press Shift B, then draw a zoom box right here. We're going to click here, then hold Shift and then select here. Then we're going to press Shift A to bring in a new armature bone. Okay, the reason why we selected those two bones was so that we could position a 3D cursor right here. In Blender, objects tend to come in to Blender where the 3D cursor is at. Okay, I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. See how this bone is selected up here at the top and the 3D cursor is right here. We're going to press Shift S. We're then going to choose cursor to select it. Looks like the bone was, or it looks like the bone disappeared. It didn't. We're then going to take the 3D cursor and push that bone out like that. I use that method just to get this bone to be pushed, exactly straight forward. I'm now going to select the bone, take the manipulator, and pull it back just like that. Okay, we have multiple bones that are kind of like root bones. However, this bone is meant to be our main root bone. So what we're going to do is click here. We're going to then hold Shift and then click here. And then having selected these two bones first and holding Shift, we're then going to click here. We're then going to press and hold Control, then press P. This brings up our make parent menu. We're then going to choose keep offset. Okay, now what we're going to do is hold Control, hold the middle mouse button and pull back. I'm then going to press Shift B, then draw a zoom box right here. I'm then going to press A to deselect the other bones that were previously selected. I'm then going to select this bone right here. Now I'm going to hold Control and then hold the middle mouse button. So I'm holding Control as well as the middle mouse button and pulling back. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. So we still have this bone selected. I'm now going to hold Shift, and then while holding Shift, select this bone right here. I'm then going to press Control P to bring up our Make Parent menu. I'm then going to choose Keep Offset. Okay, so what we're going to do now is press A to deselect. We're then going to click here and then go to Pose Mode. Now when we click here, I'm going to roll the mouse wheel back so you can see what's going on. When I press G, you can see I move the entire armature. So I'm going to right click to get that to jump back to its original position. This bone is a control bone similar to these bones. So what we're going to do with this bone selected is click here. And we're clicking here to take away this check mark next to the form, because we do not want that bone to deform our character mesh. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to press Shift B and then draw a zoom box right here. I'm then going to click on our puppeteer button. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit. I'm going to, with this Control_B bone group selected, I'm going to choose Select to select all of our control bones. I'm then going to hold Shift and then select our new root bone here. I'm then going to select Assign to assign that bone to the same Control_B bone that contains the rest of the control bones. Okay, I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm then going to click here and then go back to edit mode. I'm going to click on this bone right here. I'm then going to click where it's named bone, and I'm going to name this main_root for main root bone. I'm then going to press enter to lock that in. Okay, now we're going to press A to deselect. We're going to click here and then go to object mode. We're then going to hold Alt, and then while holding Alt, we're going to press H to unhide our character mesh. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to press A to deselect, and what we're going to do is we're going to first select our character mesh. We're then going to hold Shift, then select our armature. We're then going to press and hold Control, then press P. That brings up our Set Parent To menu to pop up, and then we're going to select with automatic weights. Okay, and what should have happened when we did that was Blender should have automatically tried to figure out the best way to connect our character mesh to these armature bones. Okay, so what we're going to do now is select our armature, then we're going to click here. We're then going to go into pose mode. I'm going to click this bone right here because that bone is parented to this bone. And this is the bone that's going to be controlling the hip, so I'm going to press H to hide that bone. Okay, so what I'm going to do is grab this bone right here. I'm then going to press G. And typically Blender does an excellent job as far as using automatic weights, and we can see that it looks good as far as, you know, how this hip bone is controlling this character and deforming the character. We'll press R to rotate on the Y axis, and looks good so far. So I'm going to right click to get that to go right back to its original position. Typically when you're moving your bones, if you move the bone and then you right click, it'll jump back to its original position, like what we did with the hip bones right there. You can also hold Alt and then press R to reset your rotation if you rotated the bone, or you can hold Alt and then press G to reset the location of the bone. Anyway, we're going to click right here, press G. Looks good. We'll click right here, press G. That looks good. Right click to get that bone to jump right back to its original position. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to select the head. We'll press R to rotate on the X axis. Looks good. I'll right click to get that to jump back to its original position. Now we'll press R to rotate on the Z axis. Looks good. I'll hold the middle mouse button to turn to the side. We'll select the arm. We'll press R to rotate on the Y axis. Not perfect, but not bad. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to press Shift B to zoom into the hand. We'll select our hand control bone, and then we'll press S to scale. Very good. I'm going to right click to get out of that. I'm going to hold the control button as well as holding the middle mouse button to zoom back. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to press Shift B, then draw a zoom box right here. I'm then going to select this bone, hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to press R to rotate on the Y axis. That looks good as well. I'm going to right click to get that bone to jump back to its original position. Okay, now I'm going to hold Control as well as hold the middle mouse button to zoom back. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to hold Control as well as the middle mouse button to zoom back. I'm going to grab our main root bone here. I'm going to press G. and the entire armature is moving, which is good. I'm going to right click to get that root bone, or main root bone, to jump back to its original position. Okay, we are almost done. One other thing I wanted to show you guys was how to set up soft body. So I'm going to click here, then go to object mode. I'm going to, we have our armature already selected, so I'm going to press H to temporarily hide the armature. I'm going to click on our character mesh to set up the soft bodies. We can't have shape keys on here. These shape keys are from the original tutorial where I showed how to model this simple female character mesh. So I'm just going to click right here to get rid of those shape keys. Okay, another thing is if we click here, we still had a mirror modifier on here. The mirror modifier was fine as far as posing. However, as far as setting up soft bodies for this, the mirror modifier would cause issues. So I'm going to click apply to apply the mirror modifier. Okay, and now with all of that done, we can set up this character mesh for soft bodies. Basically with soft bodies, what I mean when I say soft body is soft body physics. So basically this character mesh, it's almost like a hard piece of plastic. However, obviously there's parts of the body that aren't supposed to be like hard pieces of plastic, particularly like the chest area on a female. You could also use it for, things like if you had like a dragon like underneath its chin, or, guys, if you wanted to have a thing where, a guy has a big stomach or whatever. But it's pretty cool technique and fairly easy to do. And basically how we set it up is we just select our character. We'll then click here, then go to edit mode. Okay, I'm going to press Shift B. I'm then going to draw a zoom box right here. I then have face select on. I'm going to press C for paint select. I'm going to select right here as well as right here. I'm going to right click to get out of paint select. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to turn to the side. I'm going to press C for paint select again. I'm then going to hold the middle mouse button to deselect those faces there. I'm then going to right click to get out of paint select again. Okay, what we're going to do is click here to go to front view. We're then going to click here. We're then going to look where we see it says vertex groups. We're then going to select this plus. We have a new group that popped up here. We're going to double click on that group. We're going to rename it soft body, then press enter to lock that in. Okay, with that done, what we're going to do is we're going to click where it says weight right here. We're then going to enter in 0.900. We're then going to press enter to lock that in. We're then going to select assign to assign this weight to our vertex group that we named soft body. Okay, now with our mouse hovered over the 3D viewport, we're going to hold control, and then while holding control, press I to invert our selection. With the same vertex group, which is soft body, we're going to take our weight back up to 1, and then we're going to select assign again. Just to be clear, we assigned a soft body with a weight of 0.900 onto soft body, and then we changed our selection and then assigned another weight to the same vertex group named soft body, and the weight that we assigned was 1.000. Okay, what we're going to do now is press A to deselect. We're then going to click here and then go to object mode. With our character mesh still selected, I'm going to hold down my middle mouse button and drag this to the side. I'm then going to click here, which is our physics button, so we can see our physics settings right here. So now I'm going to select soft body. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to look to where it says soft body. We're going to look to where it says mass. We're going to click here. We're going to hover our mouse here. We're then going to press S. We're then going to select soft body. Okay, now we're going to click here where it says soft body goal. So I just click that arrow to, make the panel open up more. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to go right here where it says minimum. We're going to click here. We're then going to enter in the value of 0.950. Then we're going to press enter to lock that in. We're then going to click here for dampening. We're then going to press 6 and then enter to lock that in. Okay, now we're going to click here where it says vertex group. We're going to hover our mouse here. We're then going to press S. We're then going to select soft body. Okay, and basically what's going on here is these settings control what happens to the vertex group that you select here. Okay, and basically the way it works now is if we make sure that we have our timeline back at the beginning and then we press play, we have our character selected. Now when I press G, you can see the soft bodies activating there. Okay, the way this would work is when you went to animate your character, the soft body simulation would activate, and then you would see the soft body working along with your character animation. If by some chance you want to take off the soft body for whatever reason, you can just click this X and the soft body would be removed from your character. If you're having issues with render time, that's probably something that you wouldn't want to have on because it would probably kick up your render times. However, I wanted to show you how to do it just so you guys, knew that you could do it and that it's not that difficult to set up. Okay, I'm going to hold Control and then hold the middle mouse button to zoom back. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm then going to press Alt-H to unhide our armature. Okay, and now I'm just going to press A to deselect. Okay guys, that's it for the tutorial. For all of those of you out there who like the videos on this channel and reshare them, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And to those of you who are new to this channel, if you like the videos on this channel and you would like to see more, please subscribe and thank you for viewing.